Today's game, nutrition is, I don't want to say it's more important, but it's more focused on really at a young age too. I mean, even my son, Hayes, and your son, like we really focus on being as healthy as we can be and putting the right foods into his system so that he can perform at a high level. He doesn't spike and he doesn't crash, right? So some of our questions are around how do we get an edge with nutrition, right? How do we, all of our players are always looking for an edge, and nutrition is a big piece of that. So I think one of the mistakes that our kids make is eating the wrong foods, right? But like in your mind, what do you see guys at the high school level or any athlete really, but what are the mistakes that they usually make when it comes to nutrition?
That's a great question. I would say the biggest mistake is going towards supplements before going to food. So I'm always telling people when they go through their laundry list of supplements, I always say, do you know what the definition of the word is? And I don't mean it, but a supplement is exactly that. It's supposed to supplement what you're eating. And oftentimes with athletes, like the first thing they want to do is go get the BCAAs and their protein powder and the creatine. And now there's essential amino acids that are becoming popular. Like there's so much out there. It's $1 billion industry. It's not regulated if at all, honestly. There's a lot of, arsenic things that are added to some of them. So you can get ones that aren't very clean, and not that they're necessarily harmful, but if you just dialed in on what you were eating before turning to powders and, things you saw, whether it was a TikTok video or just walking into your favorite vitamin shop and just pounding, protein bars and powders, I think that to me, that is probably the biggest mistake that people are making.
Yeah.
And understanding, the purpose of certain foods. I don't think people always understand the definition of like, what is a carbohydrate and why do you need it? What is a protein and why do you need it? A fat? Like very simple things, and what foods would fall into those categories can be challenging for people.
Yeah, and before our games, and I'm going back to University of Maryland, like pregame meal was a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
It was pastas, it was steaks, it was chickens, it was, I feel like there was a huge menu of whatever you could eat, and there was no policing that. It was, hey, if you're hungry, eat. If not, no big deal. And I never knew what to eat before a game, right? Especially like a night game, you kind of eat all day long. You sit in the hotel and you wait to get on the bus to go over to the stadium. But like as an athlete, what should we be eating pregame? Let's say a game is, at 6 o'clock in the evening, right? Like what do we eat throughout a day so that, we don't crash during a game? What should we be eating?
That's a great question too. So on the day of a game, I I tend to recommend low fat. And I don't mean going out and buying low fat foods, but so it takes our bodies a lot longer to digest fat. It's actually the entire basis for the keto diet, which was super popular about 5, 10 years ago. Everyone was eating, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Basically being fat fueled. And if you're only eating fat, then you can intermittent fast because you are so full with the amount of calories that you're consuming. But fat slows you down. So if you're trying to perform at a 6 p.m. game, like loading up on even red meat, which, yeah, great source of protein, has iron, has beta vitamins, like it is important and it's a great fuel source, not on a day you're playing a game, fine. But like stay away from fat. Carbs are the gas for your tank. Like they are number one, hands down, the best thing to use to fuel. Protein is also very important, especially as you're training, but it's important on game day, but not as important as it is throughout the week. So on a typical day, I would say like proper meal in the morning, eggs, oatmeal, some fruit, all the colors and all the food groups, kind of like what you're saying, or I guess all of the three macros. But what I like to focus on more is the 4 hours leading up to the 2 hours in one, so the 4-2-1 rule. So 4 hours before, proper meal, like 50% of your plate carbohydrates, whether that's like rice, chicken, broccoli, pasta, string beans, fish, something like that. But then 2 hours before is when it's really mainly carbohydrates, because you want that quick source of energy. I mean, if you think about like somebody running a marathon, like every 4 or 5 mile marker, which is like 45, 60 minutes, depending on how fast you are, like they're loading them up with some sort of quick carbohydrate that gives them that like sustained energy throughout. And then that 1 hour before is when I would have like applesauce, a banana, dried mango, a small granola bar, maybe some clementine, something like that, and electrolytes. Because especially if you're wearing all that gear and you're sweating your tush off, electrolytes are really helpful. But again, I don't mean like the whole drinking coconut water for $5 a bottle. Like banana has as much potassium as you would need as any sort of electrolyte powder or drink could ever give you. Yeah. But if you have something like, I mean, magnesium, potassium, sodium, those are like the three main. And you can add them to a water and just kind of sip on it leading up.
Yeah, that's a great point. God, we're massive in our family with bananas. I mean, we eat bananas nonstop. And so that's good to know. Post game, right? And I can remember post game, like I can remember, I have a picture of myself standing outside of a bus in Morgantown at West Virginia. We had just played in Morgantown, and I literally have a pizza in my hand, and I think it was Papa John's, right? So like our post game meals were like, okay, guys, great game. We got to get back on a bus, or we have to board a flight. Here's your post game meal, and it was like Chick-fil-A, it was Popeyes, it was Pizza Hut or Papa John's. I can't imagine that that's good for us, right? Or that's a healthy post-game meal. Again, we're 16, 18, 20-year-old kids, right? But like post-game meal, is there certain things that we should eat as far as recovery goes, right?
Yeah. Well, that's where the protein comes in. So again, a common misconception is everyone, and now it's very trendy, protein, protein, protein. Everyone's obsessed with protein. And protein it's so important, but not leading up to your game, post, not leading up to your 3-hour training session or practice or lift session. It's actually, that's when you have it right afterwards. That is the most like critical and important thing to have after you're playing a game. You have like broken your body down, and this is your opportunity to repair it.
Alan's got a question. Alan, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. I've got a quick question about the electrolyte load. So we're in South Texas at a small 2A school, and my son plays both ways. He plays quarterback and linebacker and some special teams. So he is on the field for almost the entire game. So it's been my understanding that we've got to start the electrolyte load 2 days before, but do you have any advice on that? And we use drip drop. We started with liquid IV, but then I did some more research, but I was just wondering about the electrolyte load and the proper way to do that to ensure that, to prevent cramping and to ensure that they're, fully hydrated for the game. Thank you.
That's a great question. Drip drop is good. Liquid IV. My favorite is actually a brand called LMNT. It's actually the letters LMNT. And I like their citrus flavors. Drip drop and liquid IV have a lot of sugar in them. I'm not against sugar because, again, sugar is giving you, quick energy like leading up. But the LMNT one does not have sugar in it, and it has the amount of sodium, potassium, and why am I blanking? Sodium, potassium, and magnesium that you need. So the 2 days before is fine. Honestly, Alan, do you live in a state that is warm year round?
Yeah, we're in South Texas, so we are in the Devil's War.
I just wasn't sure if you meant that you were there currently or you were always there. I mean, I would say he could have an electrolyte packet once a day, every day. Like I wouldn't just start it 2 days leading up. So electrolytes are literally just so magnesium, let's start with that one, which is the main one. In my humble opinion, I think it's the most critical one. It's literally responsible for every chemical reaction at the cellular level of your body. So if you think of people who can't go to sleep at night, they might take something to help them sleep and to calm their brains. And the active ingredient in it is magnesium. If you are sore as crap after a game or a workout and you get in an Epsom salt bath, the active ingredient in Epsom salt is magnesium. So it's relaxing your muscles. If you can't go to the bathroom, some of those like supplements to help you poop, the active ingredient is magnesium. So it can't hurt your son to take that every single day, like not just leading up to a serious game or on season, off season, especially because he's training year round. Do I think he needs multiple packets a day? No, but he could definitely take a packet of that every day to like keep it regulated, make sure he's not cramping up and everything is kind of moving along as it needs to be.
So that's what we do, especially for 2-a-days and early in the season, because it can be 115 where we're at. But we do so he has a magnesium supplement he takes every night, and then he does the electrolyte pack, like you're saying, every day, once a day, but usually 2 days before a game is when we'll start loading up and doing 3 or 4. So is that right or no?
Oh, I think that that's too much. I mean, I would maybe say have one. If he's doing 2-a-days, you could have one during each one of those, each one of the training sessions or each one of the games. But 3 or 4 is a ton. I mean, I just think it's unnecessary because you also think about the other side of it with sodium, for example. Like there are people who are afraid to have too much sodium because they'll get high blood pressure or they get super puffy. Like, I don't know if you ever go out for Chinese food and afterwards you're like, you can't get your wedding band off. Or, I mean, I think I'm maybe speaking from a woman's perspective, but too much sodium, like that can actually make you be a bit tougher or tighter. So I would say at most have 2 a day.
Okay. Thanks, Jen. This question is for Akeem, because I was once in his shoes. And Akeem, I'm not saying that you need this, but a lot of our athletes, or some of our athletes, want to put on good weight, Jen, but like, again, healthy weight. And they want to continue to bulk up, but keep their speed, right? What types of foods can they maybe put in their backpack between classes or eat in the mornings or at night or whenever to kind of help them with the bulking, right? Or putting on weight and gaining size, but still maintaining some speed and quickness?
Great question. All right, favorite foods. I would go with jerkies, like, because that can stay in your backpack, like beef jerky, turkey jerky, any pork jerky, whichever ones you like. There are like nitrate-free ones, organic ones. If you, I would recommend them more so, but I understand they're definitely at a bit of a higher price point. But like those, like Chomps, for example, you're getting in, they're shelf stable, so they'll stay in your backpack. They won't get smushed or anything. I mean, you could have up to 3 or 4 of those a day, and that would be a great 400 calories, 40 grams of protein you're adding on and it's real food, right? So kind of going back to that first comment, like you're not drinking dry protein powder. There are good bars out there. I mean, if you're trying to put on weight, that is where the bars come in. I mean, there's David bars, there's Built bars, there's Bear Bells, what you're looking for though, ideally, is 200 minimum calories, like if not more. And some of them will go up to like 300 or so. And a minimum of like 26 grams of protein, if you can do those. I guess hard-boiled eggs wouldn't stay good, but like even if you can keep like Akeem in the mornings, like I would have a 6 to 8 egg omelet in the morning. Like screw the egg whites. Like I know they're super trendy from a low calorie perspective, but half of the protein in an egg is found in the yolk. So when you're getting rid of those yolks, you're getting rid of the protein and you're getting rid of the choline, which is it's important for our brain health. So that's a good takeaway. And honestly, I don't want to give you credit, or I do want to give you credit, Scott. The PB&Js are not a bad move. Like your mom knew what she was doing when she gave you those. They are a fan favorite. They don't go bad. You're getting the extra fat so like nuts and nut butters. People often think like, oh, my trainer told me to have an almond butter after I work out. It's full of protein. Like nuts and nut butters, they're full of fat, but that's good because, right, there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. There's 4 calories in a gram of protein, and there's 4 calories in a gram of carbohydrate. So of the 3 macronutrients, from a bulking standpoint, like fat is going to be your best friend. So steak, eggs, the PBJ, any nut butter, like you have 2 spoonfuls of peanut butter, almond butter, and you're getting in great extra calories.
Yeah.
Chocolate milk is a good one if you can drink it. They have, there's a Fairlife one that you can get at Costco that has like 30 grams of protein. I think the brand is Fairlife. It's like a white cardboard bottle sort of thing.
Sure.
Core Power makes one it's a drink. It's 42 grams of protein is their extra one.
Okay.
But that's where if you can, because you're going to make yourself sick if you're eating all of those calories and you're trying to put it on. And those are great additions that hopefully won't make you too overwhelmed, but also give you that edge there with the protein.
I had a peanut butter and jelly today, Jen.
I like it.
I'm not trying to gain weight, trust me.
I was going to say, you're still there? That's impressive.
Jen, what about sleep, right? I'm a pretty good sleeper, but I don't sleep a ton, meaning like I stay up kind of late, probably too late, and I get up early, mainly because of my kids. Like I like to work at night, and I like to get up early in the morning and either work out or work or be productive before my kids get up. It's probably not great, but for people who struggle with sleep, can nutrition play a factor in that? Like depending on what you eat, are there certain foods that like, hey, you eat this and you'll struggle with sleep versus like, hey, these foods are great and it will help you sleep at night, right?
So you're going to laugh, but carbs, if you have a really carb-heavy meal, it can help you fall asleep at night.
Yeah, like
sugar's going to keep you up. I mean, sleep is really important. That is when our bodies recover the most. I mean, I would argue, and I don't know the percentage, I could find you a study on it, or at least one, like you are probably more prone to injury if you are not getting enough sleep, because that is literally your body's opportunity to repair and to take in all of the food that you took in, all the training that you did, and like do what it needs to do to like repair itself and recover. It is so important from that piece. Like, and I say that also because I'll talk to a lot of people who love caffeine, and I'm a big fan of caffeine. Don't get me wrong. But if you're having caffeine, I mean, caffeine can stay in your system up to 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to people who are like, all right, I had a pre-workout at 4 p.m. before my lift. Like, why can't I sleep at night? And I'm like, you need to stop having pre-workout by like, or anything with caffeine by like 10, 11 a.m. if you're going to try to get to sleep by 11. And it compounds. So like if you have it at 7 a.m. and then you have another cup of coffee or something with caffeine, even 5-6 hours later, it just kind of compounds with what you already had, and it can stay in your system and can be really disruptive from that perspective. Sure. And then the magnesium glycinate is helpful for sleep. A lot of people take it just like relax your brain, relax your body, your muscles, etc. Like it's supposed to be helpful in promoting that. There's other like natural supplements too, but I would say magnesium is probably like that's the active ingredient in Calm, that really popular powder that people take.
And while we're on supplements, how and I hate to throw you off, but how educated are you around creatine? Right? I mean, like we took creatine back in the day, back in my high school and college days, and I kind of stopped, but I see a lot of creatine around now, especially in the collegiate world. Like they actually offer these kids creatine, right?
Yeah.
What do you know about creatine? Should we be taking it? Should we not?
Well, is it instantized? What I've heard is so we've got instantized, like the creatine that we took was like sand back in the day. But they've got instantized now.
Yeah,
they've got instantized now, and they've got the gummies. So yeah, could you speak to that a bit? Because what I have studied, again, I'm a medical professional, so I've kind of got some access to some reports and some studies. What I have found or heard is that you're less likely to get a concussion if you have creatine in your system during a game. Is that true to your knowledge?
I've never read that. However, there's a lot out there now about how it can prevent like cognitive decline. So creatine, kind of going to Scott's question too, I'm going to lump these two together. Creatine is the most highly studied supplement of all time. So I would actually say because of that, it's the safest supplement of all time. It's literally, I mean, I'm around your age, Scott, a little younger. I look a lot younger, but a little younger chronologically. But it is, I mean, I remember the wrestlers in my high school were taking it too. They were like spitting in water things and taking creatine. So I would say to first question, it is safe. Creatine is also naturally found in a lot of foods you're eating. You probably just didn't know that. Like creatine is found in steak. It's found in shrimp. It's not as often found in like poultry and turkey. So if you are someone who like doesn't eat red meat or shellfish, then you're probably not getting it in a diet as much as you'd think. But I mean, it is the most widely studied one. So to answer about the concussion thing, it doesn't surprise me. Like that didn't come out of left field, your question, Alan, because now it's gone beyond the bodybuilder, football playing type who are just trying to put on mass and perform better. And people are taking it to prevent like cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. There's a gene called like ApoE3, which is basically just makes you more susceptible to getting Alzheimer's, dementia, or one of those like diabetes 3 is kind of like what people are calling it in the health world. And creatine is something that they're recommending for prevention. In terms of like amount, I mean, there's loading phases. Some people do a loading phase. You take like 10 to 15 grams of it for like a week leading up, and then you really kind of taper off and have just like 5 grams a day.
Is powder better than gummies, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. I mean, the goal, creatine is literally just giving your muscles more energy to perform more and longer. Yeah. Like I would say, Alan, instead of your son taking pre-workout, I would tell him to take the creatine before.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it does. There is.
He does. He really enjoys we use Create.
Yeah. Try Create the gummies.
And like from the research I've done, they seem legit. But again, you're right. With supplements, it's just like you never know. Like what is legit, what's not legit. And then the Instantize, just because it dissolves a lot better. But I use that myself. You know, I'm almost 50, and so trying to maintain. But
yeah. All right. So Jen, you answered my question. We keep taking it. It's great for us. Muscle recovery, working out, energy, muscle build, the whole nine.
For sure.
So we're coming up to our time, but I have one last question for you before I open it up, see if anybody else has a question. This is selfishly, but look, they're kids too, right? We're all around fast food. Okay. I don't know how much fast food you guys do in your family, but like high school kids, some of them go on lunch breaks, right? They're around fast food. They travel. They're around fast food. We all are around it, right? Are there fast foods that, forget about the bad ones, are there fast foods that you would be okay with maybe feeding your kids, or as an athlete, like, hey, you can dive into this once in a while and it's not going to kill you, right?
Yeah. I would say Chipotle and Chick-fil-A. Is that terrible? But like, if you think about it, right? I mean, Chick-fil-A they have grilled chicken also.
Yeah.
I mean, they have grilled chicken nuggets. They have grilled chicken sandwiches. I'm not saying, I mean, nothing compares to their actual nuggets. But what I would say is don't have them before a game, because they are definitely higher in fat and you don't want too much fat before you're a game. But throughout the week or or even afterwards, like that's okay. And then Chipotle, I mean, you can manipulate a Chipotle bowl into something pretty beautiful, actually. Like the white rice is a great source of carbohydrate. The black beans have fiber and also a good source of carbs. You're getting guacamole, which has magnesium and omega-3s, and then you can get double meat, whether that's chicken or steak or however you like it. It's actually a pretty decent option. Like I even let my husband eat Chipotle.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at you.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. All my kids will eat it actually. But yeah, I would say like anything. I mean, I'm talking obviously because I'm in Maryland. So right, what is not around us that
we live next to a McDonald's, and it is so tempting to go over there, but
I'm laughing. So my 10-and-a-half-year-old, somebody took him to McDonald's after one of his games, and he wouldn't even eat it. He thought the nuggets were so horrible because he's so spoiled by the chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A. And not the grilled ones. He eats the fried ones like he's a kid. Right. Well, I guess there's my answer for you, Scott. Here's a better one. You and I are not growing anymore, right? Like if we OD on fast food, we go this way. a lot of these guys are young, and the hope is that they're still growing. So I'm not that all calories are created equally, but I mean, you can still get a really, great amount of protein and some healthy carbs from some of these fast food places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do y'all have Cane's over there? Cane's chicken fingers? Does anybody around know what Cane's is?
Braden does.
Oh my, yeah, Cane's. So like Cane's is a chicken finger. So their business model is to do one thing and do it really well. So they do basically chicken fingers and fries and toast, and they have this special sauce. But I swear to God, there is something in the special sauce that the young athletes love. Like anytime that we are in the city, they are like, we've got to go to Cane's. I could be like, do you want to go to the steakhouse? Do you want to do this? And they're like, we want Cane's. We got to have Cane's.
All right. So Jen, all of our guys will have your information, right? They're all going to have access. They're probably going to have questions, right? But like one last question, or I guess one last statement from you, right? You're a high school athlete. Your son is going to be a high school athlete at some point in time, right? So is mine.
2 sons. I got 2 of them.
You got 2. That's right. I've got 3. So like we all prepare for this, but these guys are in high school now, right? And they're playing at a high level. What is one piece of advice that you leave them with, right? On the nutrition side of the house, right? If you're talking to them, what's one piece of advice that you would give them related to nutrition of like, hey man, this is how you treat your body. You want to perform at a high level. You want to have an edge. This is the one piece of advice that I give you. I know that's a broad question.
You did not prepare me for that one.
Yeah.
Well, because part of me is like, learn how to be a little comfortable in the kitchen. Like learn how to make some stuff for yourself. Like take ownership of it. Honestly, do some homework. It sounds like Alan does the homework for his kid, which is awesome. And we will do it for ours. But I mean, immersing yourself in it and like and like just knowing how to make yourself scrambled eggs, like make yourself steak and eggs, or making like that, I think does give you an advantage. Like there's so many kids who again are going to run for the fast food, which is full of vegetable oil and all this stuff that could be not harmful necessarily, but is not going to help put them above the rest for sure. Like be the person that like takes that on and learns how to, prepare simple things. Like it's not that hard to make yourself chicken, rice, and broccoli. Yeah. And that is a phenomenal fuel source for, any athlete.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I tell you what, I remember going to college and seeing my roommate cook, and I was like, man, what the heck are you doing? He was like, I'm making fried eggs. I'm like, how do you do that? I was so like my mom used to cook for me. I never saw a stove. To your point, like that's a really good point. Getting into the kitchen, getting on a stove, learning how to cook, understanding what foods are healthy for you, what foods to stay away from, making your meals, like that can take you a long way, especially when you get to move into those dorms that freshman year and you're by yourself and mom's not around anymore, right? Understanding what's in your system. So no, that's really key. So I appreciate that, Jen.
So you work your kidneys processing protein. Is there any danger in hyperloading creatine and protein and feeding your sons, steak and just like really loading up on the protein?
That's a really good question. So remember the Atkins diet, like from the 90s? Anyone remember that diet?
Yeah, I forget what it was though.
It was it was basically it was kind of like keto and paleo. But it was like cheese, bacon, red meat, turkey, and a lot of people were getting kidney stones. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my answer would be so you need to make sure you have fiber. I guess let's go back for because you're going to ask me how much, and I don't have the answer. That's going to change person to person. How much is too much? How much is okay? What I would say is, and Alan and all of you is, do not skimp on fiber. Fiber is so important from that standpoint, especially preventing kidney stones, because that's what was happening with these people on Atkins. They were avoiding fruits and vegetables because the fruit had sugar and vegetables have starches in it, and they were only eating bacon, red meat, cheese, high fat, high protein foods. And a lot of people were getting kidney stones as a result. So I wouldn't be afraid of your son taking these things, but I would say do not forget to give him fiberful foods too, because that's going to keep things moving and not get him to a place where he might develop those.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've got Metamucil, and I think like that's just been rebranded as the new carnivore diet. Which pretty much do. But anyways, thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it. I'll shut up. I'll be quiet now. I'm sorry for all the questions.
All good. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate your participation. Like, look, this is an important topic, and it's. I feel like it's more focused on now than ever. So, Jen, I want to thank you for hopping on. Thank you for joining in. This is huge for our guys. I really appreciate it. Your knowledge it's going to go a long way with these guys. They're going to look at it, watch it, absorb it. I'm sure they'll have questions. So be prepared, and I'll send you over the questions as I get them. And they'll all have access to you if they, want to talk to you outside of this call or the recorded call. So I want to thank you for hopping on. It's been great. We can't wait to have you on again. So thank you, Jen.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me, Scott.